Today we're reading the February issue of the Apple Barrel. And the first article concerns the acupuncture clinic, which is held every Thursday from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the wellness classroom. Acupuncture is a traditional healing practice that has been used for thousands of years. It involves placing very thin, sterile needles at specific points on the body to stimulate natural healing, improve circulation, and help the body restore balance. The treatment is gentle and relaxing. Acupuncture is a holistic and effective process that can help treat multiple elements from pain, depression, anxiety, joint and muscle pain, sleep issues, and much more. Dr. Josh Blackman, who is a DOM, Doctor of Oriental Medicine, has been treating Manzano del Sol residents for the past 8 years. He can advise you on how often you should come, as it's rare to resolve any problem with only one treatment. Please call, and the 2 numbers are listed, which we'd be happy to give you, or come to the wellness office to arrange an appointment. You can come anywhere from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, 2:30, and stay as long as you like in our relaxing and reclining chairs. The cost is $10 for the first time paperwork, which is consent and health history forms, and then $15 per treatment for residents weekly, and $20 per treatment for residents' family, staff, or non-residents. And there are several people who have attended that for weeks now, and they just have done very, very well. Acupuncture seems to be the answer for the problems that haunt them. Perla's article is about apple barrels in the library. I've been the publisher of Manzano's Apple Barrel, the newsletter, since 2019, and it's one of the many jobs I enjoy doing. I thought it would be a good idea to include a copy of every issue from 2019 to now. There's a lot of history here at Manzano, and it's always nice to look back at the previous submissions. There is a white binder in the library titled Manzano del Sol's Apple Barrel. Please do not remove it from the library. It's for everyone to read and enjoy. I do hope you enjoy the apple barrels as much as I enjoy putting them together. Written by Perla Martina. And if you have an article that you would like to submit, and you'd like to dictate it to someone, then I'm sure you can find several of us who'd be happy to take that down for you, and then those articles should be submitted by the 15th of every month.
We're moving on to page 2, and this is a list of activities for the month of February, which is entitled The Month of Love. The month of February is also recognized as American Heart Month, and on Friday, February 6th, is National Wear Red Day. So let's all show our support on this day by wearing our favorite red outfits. We all know heart disease is the leading cause of death for men and women. Monday, February 2nd, well, I think that's past. We'll move on. Friday, February 6th at 9:45 a.m., I will be taking those of you who have tickets for the New Mexico Philharmonic concert. Please meet in the lobby at 9:30 a.m. Monday, February 9 at 2 p.m. in the chapel is our monthly resident council meeting. Tuesday, February 10th at 2:30, we will have arts and crafts in the chapel. Would like us to make Christian tissue paper lanterns as part of our decorations for the Lenten season. We will hang them in the dining room, and afterwards I will give them back to you. Wednesday, February 11th at 11 a.m., we will join the Wellness Center for an early lunch out. Then at 1:30 p.m., we have a private tour scheduled with Amazon. You will be able to see firsthand just what it takes for you to receive all the packages that they deliver daily. Please, please, please make sure that if you sign up for this outing, you are not going to cancel this trip. I have to pre-register each of you a week ahead of our tour, which means I must have us registered by Wednesday, December 4th, and I think that was yesterday. You will also need to bring your driver's license or state IDs to the facility. Thursday, February 12th at 2:30 is an early Valentine's Day dinner date for couples. I will take 4 couples to Black Angus for your special date. If you sign up, I will need to know if you want a table all together or separate seating for the reservations. Friday, February 13th is our Valentine's Day celebration. We will have a pianist at our special Valentine's luncheon. Monday, February 16th at 2 o'clock in the chapel, Ms. Dondra Deepen will be in the chapel to introduce her book, Route 66, New Mexico, a Visual Tour. She will have a slideshow, a book signing, and a question and answer. Thursday, February 19 at 2 p.m. in the chapel, I have scheduled an illusionist, Josh Farley, who is currently on tour and will be stopping here to visit and mystify us with his magic show. I hope you will mark your calendars for this event. Friday, February 20th at 2 p.m. in the dining room is our birthday party. Everyone is invited to celebrate our February birthdays. MDS will be providing background music as you sit and visit with each other and enjoy cake and ice cream. If you are celebrating your birthday, please come down at 1:20 p.m. for group pictures and individual ones. Monday, February 23rd at 11 a.m., we have reservations for an early lunch at the Daily Grind. If you sign up for this lunch, please meet downstairs at 10:45 a.m. Tuesday, February 24 at 2 p.m. in the chapel, the Palo Duro Singers have scheduled a performance for us. And to end our month, Friday, February 27 at 1 p.m. in the chapel is our movie day. With that, we have come to the end of February. One final thought. We love because he loved us, first loved us, from 1 John. What a beautiful gift. I pray each of you remember, because of him, we can celebrate Valentine's Day loving that special person or friend. Blessings and love to each of you, Christine Supps.
She's going a lot of places this month. And the next article is a recipe for giving. Is to your enemy forgiveness, to an opponent tolerance, to a friend your heart, to a customer service, to all men clarity, to each child a good example, to yourself respect. And that was submitted by Roberta Menicucci from her mother, Teresa Menicucci, who is still living independently at 103 years old. The next article is housekeeping, written by Perla. She said, if you're scheduled for housekeeping and you will not be in your apartment and you'd like to give permission for housekeeping to go in while you are away, please come down to resident services to give written authorization. The next article, Perla describes the roots of our community here at Manzano. During my tours with prospective residents, and also while walking down the halls, I'm frequently asked about our longest tenured residents. People are always impressed by the longevity of our community members, which speaks volumes about Manzano's being a true home. To celebrate this, I would like to begin publishing monthly residents move-in anniversaries in the Apple Barrel. It's a wonderful way to honor our history and to show everyone how much our residents enjoy living here. Since I did not include the January anniversaries in the last Apple Barrel, I will include them in this month's issue. So January's anniversaries are Michael Gotwell, who's been here 2 years, Mary Gruby has been here 3 years, and Gwen Anlian has been here 9 years. The February folks celebrating anniversaries are Betty Trotz, who has lived here 2 years, Norma White, 2 years, Charles Nemeth, 2 years, Neil and Pauline Baker, 3 years, Helen Hale, 5 years, Bernice Richards, 6 years, and Judith Berry, 9 years, and Louis Plonky, 10 years, Marion McLeod, 11 years.
All right, for next we have a thank you from Nancy Burns. It says, to my Manzano friends, thank you, my Manzano friends, for all of your thoughtful support. Unfortunately, I spent a good part of the holidays in the hospital with pneumonia. I am home now with my incredible husband, Don. He spent every day with me, and when he did go home, there was almost always surprise cards and gifts on our door. Most of these thoughtful gifts were left anonymously. Please know that Don and I are appreciative of your thoughtfulness. Happy holidays, Nancy Burns. And following that, we have an article by Mary Gruby. At this time when we may be feeling sadness, perhaps a loneliness for what has ended, been lost or left behind, perhaps what is the most valuable and most healing could be is to give thanks for so many people, friends, abilities, possibilities that do remain, at the very least, just for the basics of survival, food, shelter, a bed to lie down on. Thankfulness and gratitude is not only an emotion, but is also a form of wisdom. The refusal to let what seems to make us suffer define our story, the story of our life. The test of our commitment to having faith in the goodness underlying all is our willingness to adapt and flex to whatever happens. Positiveness begets positiveness and usually fewer hassles. And that one here is written by my wife, and when I read it, I have a picture here that I'm going to pass around if anyone is able to see it. And let me very quickly tell you what this is all about. Janelia's granddaughter married in Mexico in January. It's the big thing here represented by this picture. The groom was of Chinese, more specifically Taiwanese, descent. He was American, but his background was Taiwanese, which those of you who've been around a while, and I know you have, Taiwan is what used to be nationalist China under Chiang Kai-shek, a long time ago. In any event, his grandfather was there. The grandfather was a year older than I was. In any event, the day before the wedding, there was what apparently was a traditional tea, T-E-A, tea ceremony held on the beach where the wedding was held, right on the Caribbean with the wind and the sand blowing in on us for sure.
Oh.
In any event, this picture that I'm going to pass around, if you can see anything in it at all, take a look at the Chinese costumes that are worn by the bride and the groom. I understand that they had them custom made, which had to be an enormous expense. And the thing about the Chinese ceremony, I think my wife probably describes it in here. The bride, certain people, my wife and I included, were seated on the beach on chairs. The bride and groom came around and poured a cup of cold tea for each of the persons. They had cushions, they got down on their knees before you, poured this tea, and you had previously been given a decorative envelope with the same kind of decorations that you will see on these costumes. And when you drank the tea and put the cup back, you slipped this envelope under, and of course it had in it a gift for them. But I'm going to pass this picture around, and if you can, and while Dottie's passing that around, I will read what my wife here.
Thank you, Dottie.
It's entitled A Destination Wedding. That's when somebody has their honeymoon 10,000 miles away and invites you to come to their wedding. Rod and I, Janelia, attended my granddaughter's destination wedding in December near Cancun, Mexico. A destination wedding is when a couple combines their wedding with their faraway honeymoon and invites guests to come. We even had to renew our passports. Since the event was held at an upscale Hyatt resort, we didn't get to see much of Mexico. However, there were some memorable events. The ceremony and other events were held on a sandy beach bordering the Caribbean Ocean with a strong onshore breeze. The bridegroom was of Chinese, Taiwanese descent and was knowledgeable in ancient Chinese customs. On the day before the wedding, he and his bride-to-be held a Chinese tea ceremony on the beach where selected guests sat, and the couple, dressed in very elaborate red clothing trimmed in gold, knelt before them and poured a cup of tea for each guest. When the cup was returned, a very small, very decorative envelope previously provided, containing a gift for the couple, was placed under the cup. The following day, the wedding was held on the same beach. While the ceremony was not unusual, having our photos taken from drones flying overhead was a unique experience. It was an enjoyable time, but very tiring. We're glad to be home.
All right, the next article is written by Don Swenson, and he writes of Norma White, who lives in apartment 118, knitted this sweater, and he has submitted a photograph of it, for her father, Cash Douglas, in about 1989. It was a lot of knitting. This is a remarkable achievement. Congratulations, Norma. Her 4 children visited her during her recent Christmas holidays. So I guess Don was quite taken by the sweater. The United Women in Faith invite any interested women to join us for a special time of fellowship. We meet the 4th Tuesday each month in the hobby room from 1:30 to 3 o'clock p.m. Our February meetings will be on the 24th. For questions or to RSVP, please call or text Sharon Christensen, and then she gives her phone number. Carol Summers has written the next article, which may make some of us a little bit sad. Project Linus. On Tuesday, February 17th, 2026, will be the last meeting of the Manzano Project Linus group. Please bring any finished blanket to the hobby room between 10:30 and 12 o'clock p.m. If you have any questions, contact me, and she's given her phone number, either by phone or text, and that's written by Carol Summers. Project Linus has been here at Manzano for years, as I understand it, and it has been a group of ladies who have knit innumerable blankets for children in the hospital or for the APD police, who sometimes have to pick up children in the middle of the night. And so they've contributed a lot to that, to both areas.
And if I may add 2 things to that. First of all, it's giving the blankets by the police who pick up children. That was preceded many years ago by giving them teddy bears, because my wife was in charge of a group like that, and I remember they had like a little production line set up. They dressed the teddy bears and put them in bags and took them to the police station for the very same purpose. The other thing, if I am correct, and if I'm not, let me know. The term Linus, Project Linus, refers to a character in the Charlie Brown cartoon of a long time ago. Linus always had to have his blanket.
Right. Ron Friedrich has contributed the next article. We're glad Marion Cooper and Sally LaFavor have joined our team. We still offer free picture hanging, getting a few items at Sprouts, and odd jobs in your apartment, not done by the maintenance guys, and visits but not electronic devices. We've added picking up litter and expanded our outreach to new residents, those who need support. We would like to be busy. We're asked to remove tight lids. First we tried twisting with a rubber jar opener. If that fails, fill a small bowl half full of water and get very hot in the microwave. Invert your jar, place the top in the water, wait 10 minutes and twist the jar top again. If it's still too tight, call Ron or throw the jar on the pavement. Not really. And there's a whole list of phone numbers of the people who are serving on that committee. And they'd love to be busy, and no job is too small. They're just delighted to walk across the parking lot to Sprouts.
I just came down.
Thank you. A positive New Year's message. Here's a year of more laughter, tears, more joy than sorrow, more connection than loneliness, and more love than love. And that was Carolyn Brislin's daughter, who serves on the Helping Hands Committee, and her name is Martha.
Hey, here's one that rings bells with me and perhaps with some of you. It's called Circus Day, and this is written by Chuck Nemeth. It could be late in June or in July or August. Mom would wake us early and urge us to change our clothes and get out of the kitchen for breakfast. Today, the circus was in town. Dad would hurry us along. He said the best part was watching them put up the tents. The circus grounds were a mile from our house. It was situated along the railroad tracks going into the Studebaker automobile assembly plant. As we walked along Indiana Avenue, we could see the circus rail cars parking on the siding east of Walnut Street. From that point, we walked beside the train tracks and got a close look at the rail cars. Circus people would be standing on or near the sleeping cars, some in bathrobes. They paid no attention to us. Everywhere on the field, there were elephants and horses dragging heavy items from the train to the correct place on the field. Men were busy with a myriad of jobs. The most interesting was the driving of the tent stakes into the ground. 6 men, each with a long-handled mallet, would circle the stake. Then one man would start to swing his mallet. As the first man hit the stake and pulled his mallet off, the next would follow. In short order, the stake was driven into the ground. Trust me, that requires some very careful coordination.
Ooh, yeah.
The men moved to the next stake and thus drove all the tent stakes in short order. I was entranced watching this display of timing by 6 men. Dad would have to come back and get me. I just watched in awe. Within an hour of arriving, the main tent was up, as well as were many smaller tents. The grandstand parts were being hauled into the big tent, and everywhere things were happening. No one seemed to give orders. Everyone seemed to know what to do and when to do it. I asked Dad where the circus came from. He said it was in Elkhart, Indiana. Elkhart yesterday, which would be Indiana, and was moved to our town during the night. Elkhart was some 25 miles east of South Bend. He said they would take everything down tonight and move to LaPorte for the next show. LaPorte was 30 miles west, then Michigan City, Gary, and then to Chicago, where they would stay for a week. I asked when the workmen slept. Dad said they slept during the afternoon and the early evening when the show was going on. Then they would work all night. Sometimes we would go back in the evening, but I also enjoyed the morning watching everything put into its proper place. I wondered if it was as interesting to watch it all come down in the middle of the night. Sometimes my friends and I would walk down to the vacant field and walk around looking for dropped coins. We found some almost every time. Yes, the Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey, are definitely a part of my childhood memories. And finally, it said, Martha had seizures from a benign brain growth. She had neurosurgery and a 1-year recovery. She is now doing well and is a math professor. And this is written by Carolyn Brislin.
Thanks for your contribution to the Roadrunner Food Bank. Thank you for your generous contributions of food and cash in 2025. The total amount collected for the Roadrunner Food Bank from Manzano del Sol residents was 361 pounds of food and $130 in cash. It was gratefully received by them. If you've watched the news lately, you know that many New Mexicans are food challenged this year. A donation box for the Roadrunner Food Bank is always located outside apartment 319. Please feel free to bring donations at any time and place them in the box. When the box is full, the items are delivered to the food bank. All types of non-perishable foods, especially protein foods, are needed. Financial contributions are also very welcome, as the food bank can purchase food items at reduced prices. Note, if it's too far for you to walk to apartment 319, call me, Jan, at such and such a number, and I'll come and pick up your donation at your apartment. And that's John DeCourtney, Lois Plunky's very, very dear daughter. Library update. We're all eager for Manzano del Sol's wonderful library to be up and running soon again. It's going to happen soon. The books will be on the shelves before long. Now they are. And additional library appropriate furniture will be in place. At that time, we will have an open house to celebrate the reopening and refurbishing of the library. In the meantime, please do not return your currently checked out library books, and do not bring donations to the library. An announcement will be posted as to when books may be returned and donations taken. Many thanks for your patience. And this is signed from the Manzano del Sol Library Committee, Sally LaFavor. And here's an opportunity to come and see Mary Poppins flying into Rhodey Theater at UNM with the landmark musicals on March 14th through the 29th, which will be 3 weekends and 8 performances. Get your tickets and there's an email which is quoted here. We can't wait to see you. And this is written by Reverend Rachel Hance. So if you would like to know more about it and you couldn't read that information, she can certainly tell you. She's also performing in...
On the next page are a list of February birthdays, and I'd say there's enough here to have a party all by themselves. Bernice Richards, Barbara Swenson, Jerry McGregor, Bonnie Shippert, Robert Allen, Betty Logan, Joanne Perez, Judith Binder, Virginia Mueller, Rodney Boenig, Sally Meeks, Maria Villaverde, Sally Lefevre, Mary Lombardo, Harriet Smetters, Carrie Lee, and Sandra Madden. Also, here is a welcome to a new resident by the name of Maria Krill in apartment 310. And finally, here's a note that may or may not be meaningful to whoever, and I'll read it first. Did you know you can watch all 5 seasons of The Chosen on any Apple device, iPad, phone, etc., free on Prime Video app? You can also watch one other episode of season 6. Shows have no commercials. Try it, you will be hooked. This is written by Nancy Weaver, and if you know, The Chosen is a very well acted series of, I guess you would call them movies, for the days leading up to the crucifixion of Jesus.
And all the activities are listed on the next page. One that starts out, of course, usually we start the month by reading the Apple Barrel. And then Monday, remember to go to the resident council meeting down in the chapel at 2 o'clock, because that's where you really find out exactly what's going on and what's planned for the month. What's being discussed as far as our food is concerned, with all of our living experiences here at Manzano. The library committee is meeting on February 11th, on Wednesday, following the resident council meeting Monday. And they would just love to have additional members on that committee if you feel so led. The food committee meets on Thursday, February 13th. The City of Albuquerque book van will be here on February the 12th. And they also have books that you can listen to. And Tai Chi is going to be offered by Christine Mondays through Friday. Meditation Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Bingo on Wednesday. And on February 18th, there'll be a community education. They've not yet announced who that is going to be, but we've had some wonderful speakers.
10 is the February ministry schedule. February 1 is passed. February 8th, Jeff and Laura Moore, and the 15th and the 22nd to be determined. There is none. And the Wednesday services at 6:30 on February 11th, Allison and Paul Gutke. February 18th, the Reverend Jerry Koyuk, which is Ash Wednesday. And February the 25th, the Reverend Patty Ebner. Catholic services are held first and third Monday at 10 a.m. and every second and fourth meeting at 10 a.m. as a meeting to say a group rosary. Moving on is another article by Chuck Nemeth about the Low Vision Group. The group met on Friday, January 2nd. Mary Grace gave us a great review of the low vision equipment she has acquired. John Woodcock gave an overview of the writing guides available. Our next meeting will be Friday, February 6th. Please note the time will be 2 p.m. in the chapel to allow for concert goers to return in time for the meeting. Our guest speaker will be Romy from the Low Vision and Hearing Center. We are also scheduling sessions with iPhone as I and others need assistance with this device. More details later. And finally, closing out, here's a recipe for living submitted by Roberta Minicucci from her mother Teresa. Thank God for dirty dishes. They have a tale to tell. While other folks go hungry, we're eating well. With home and health and happiness, we shouldn't want to fuss. For by this stack is evidence God's very good to us.
Forgetters getting better. My forgetters getting better. But my rememberer is broke. To you, that may seem funny, but to me, it's no joke. For when I'm here, I'm wondering if I should really be there. And when I try to think it through, I haven't got a prayer. Oftentimes, I walk into a room and say, what am I here for? I rack my brain, but all in vain, a 0 in my score. At time, I put something away where it's safe, but gee, the person it's safest from is generally me. When shopping, I may see someone say, hi, and have that chat, and then the person walks away, and I ask myself, who was that? Yes, my forgetter's getting better, while I rememberer is broke and is driving me plumb crazy. And that isn't any joke. Can you relate? And that was submitted by Doris Burns. I think we can all relate. And on the other page, Chuck Nemeth has just submitted a wonderful recipe for hamburger soup. And I'm not going to go through and read all the ingredients because as I look around the room, there are only 2 people here, I think, who make soup, make their meals at home. And but it just looks delicious. And if you want to know more and don't want to have the recipe, Chuck is on that low vision committee, and I know he would share it again and tell you how to do it.
The next page, there was an article on African American women, and I think there's a Women's History Month coming up this may relate to. Said the prevailing thoughts about people of African descent that justified keeping them enslaved and indentured was that they were incapable of thinking or reasoning and unable to take care of themselves or be productive members of society. This commentary introduces you to several of the many ladies of the period who proved this wrong. Annie Turnbow established a hair care empire and achieved a millionaire status. She created and sold products and started a beauty school focusing on black hair care. One of her former employees, Sarah Breedlove, also known as Madam C.J. Walker, also became a millionaire in the hair products industry. Moving on, formerly enslaved Elizabeth Keckley served as the personal granddaughter of Mary Todd Lincoln, whom you may remember was the wife of President Lincoln.
Well, she was a dressmaker.
Huh?
She was the dressmaker to Mary Todd.
Yeah, Mary Todd, yes. Okay.
Not granddaughter.
Sorry about that. She used her skills and connections to develop a business that employed 20 people and made her wealthy. And without it saying so, the fact that she was a dressmaker to Mary Todd Lincoln puts this in the mid-1860s. Perhaps a little earlier. Phyllis Wheatley was enslaved by John and Susanna Wheatley. They taught her to read and write, and she became a published poet. After hearing about the new Massachusetts Constitution that said all men are born free and equal, enslaved Elizabeth Freeman took her master to court and won her freedom. I didn't learn about these women or women like them in school, did you? Black History Month is celebrated in February. Women's History Month is celebrated in March. I look to the day when the history of all Americans is simply considered American history, and we learn about, recognize, and or celebrate one another according to our contributions, both positive and negative, not some sort of classification.
Amen.
And this is written by Valerie Dalton. News from the gift shop. The month of love, of course, that should be in every month, right? We have infused glass hearts for sale in the store. There are easy ways to share your love with others. We also have some really nice Valentine cards. The gift shop is always a place where you can get a free hug. Love is free, but please come with money to buy a card, candy, or other items. God bless, Debbie Harrington. And finally, by Parla, we currently have covered parking spots available. It's $30 a month, and you can cancel anytime. If you'd like to get a closer covered parking spot, you can always get on the waiting list, and we will offer you a spot once your name comes up. If you would like to sign up, come down to the resident services offices for a place to put your car undercover.
Vanessa Jackson, our clinic nurse, has written the next article, Stop the Spread of Germs. With flu cases surging, it's so important for all of us to do our part to prevent it from going through our building. If you're not feeling well, consider avoiding large groups or sharing meals with others. If you're experiencing cold-like symptoms, such as tiredness, runny nose, cough, etc., be sure to test for COVID before joining in activities. If you are coughing, please consider wearing a mask, because even if you cover your mouth and then fail to immediately wash your hands, you're still spreading the germs. Wash your hands often, before meals, after checking the mail, etc. Try and avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth as much as possible. Please be mindful. What may be a simple cold for you could be a lot worse for someone else. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to visit me at the clinic. Thank you, Vanessa Jackson. And she's also written this little Article, remember to notify the front desk if you won't be in your apartment overnight. This is to make sure security does not flip your flag at night, because she is the door checker in the morning, and if your flag has not been put back, then she will come in your apartment thinking something has happened to you. So let them know at the desk that you're going to be gone. Nancy Burns, she's been a busy writer this month. She's written this article on the magic shirt. The National Federation of the Blind is an organization of the blind as opposed to an organization. For the blind, there is, I'm sorry, I really read that wrong. We'll start again. The National Federation of the Blind, the NFB, is an organization of the blind as opposed to an organization for the blind. There is little coverage of the strengths and diversity of blind citizens. My husband Don worked closely with me, and we struggled with such issues as inaccessible touchscreens and Braille literacy. We were not salaried, but the issues were near and dear to our hearts. My older son Jeff kept our computers up and running, and he's worked 6 years as a geek in the Best Buy Geek Squad. My younger son Kevin wore many hats while working in my office. Together we published a monthly magazine, along with numerous updates. A great deal of computer ink was used for these projects. Kevin became acquainted with the ink delivery person as a result of needing so much ink. And one day, the delivery guy gave Kevin a t-shirt complete with the name of the company. Later that day, I entered the office and sat on the t-shirt. I ceremonially dumped the shirt on the floor. Kevin, with tongue-in-cheek, fussed at me for throwing his clothes on the floor. And later that day, I entered my office and sat in my chair. The t-shirt was attached to my chair with heavy-duty shipping tape. This became the beginning of 25 years Find the Shirt game. It has magically appeared in the bottom of the Christmas package, cooling in the refrigerator, in the bottom of the clothes hamper, appearing in my cosmetic case. Between the two of us, we began packing up the office, and we were moving out of state. Apparently, Kevin decided that we should retire the game. So, some blue ink accidentally found its way into my blonde hair. Nancy Burns. And I didn't realize that she and her husband had that organization for so long.
14, there's an article entitled Rainbows. It says there's an angle hanging in my window.
Angel.
I think it means angel.
Yeah, I do too.
There's an angel hanging in my window. She has crystals in her gown. When the sun becomes on her, she throws rainbows all around. But only you, Lord, can make rainbows, and they fill us with such awe, and you show them generously and with one and all. And this is by Barbara O'Neill. And we have a newcomer. It says, the fifth floor welcomes Judy Katz. Judy was born in the Bronx and attended the High School of Music and Art in New York City, where she studied oil painting. CCNY, Community College of New York, City College of New York, provided a free college education. Graduate school was at Penn State. Judy taught English at a branch of Penn State. Then for many years at Juanita, a 4-year co-ed school in Huntington, retiring at the age of 70. She moved to Ithaca, New York, but in 2022 moved to Albuquerque to be closer to her son in Placitas. Not a surprise, she loves to read. This is a surprise. She has a small floor loom, more artistry at Manzano, written by Martha Blackburn.